Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to yet another video. And today we will be discussing what if lions were introduced in the USA. Now, granted, there were American lions at some point in USA, but they have been extinct for a rather long time. So their closest living relatives are the African lions, and today we will analyze what would happen if a breeding population of African lions were dropped in the USA. How would they survive? How well they would do? And how would the ecosystem itself react to the introduction of a large apex predator? Without further ado, let's get right into it. Just like the tiger analysis, here in the lion we will do the same thing. We will do environment adaptability, prey availability, and threats and competition. First, let's look at environment adaptability. So USA is a rather vast country with a variety of different biomes, and we will look into which biomes lions would primarily do well. Now, we know that lions can live in a variety of habitats, but the one that they prefer the most is dry, arid grasslands. And there is quite a bit of that. Like, look how big this is. All of this is temperate grassland, which is just perfect for lions. Not only this, also there is like flooded grassland, which is again something lions are very accustomed to living. There is Mediterranean shrubs and dry desert shrubs, which are again something lions are very well adapted into living. So as you can see, there are so many iconic grasslands. Now granted, USA's many biomes are very impressive. However, the most iconic biome in USA has to be the prairies. Like whenever people think of USA and they think of USA biomes, they think of the prairie, the tall grasslands that are vast open for miles and miles, with maybe some bison herds grazing into them. And these are remarkably similar to the habitats lions live in Africa. So definitely in every single one of these grasslands, lions will do just perfectly fine. These are dry grasslands too, so lions will have no problem blending in, and the water levels are just similar to the ones that they are accustomed to. It's just perfect for them. Apart from grasslands, there are some deserts as well, like the Great Basin Desert, the Mojave Desert, the Sonoran Desert, and the Chihuahuan Desert. All of them are semi-arid environments that lions don't have any problems. Now, someone might ask that these are rather dry areas. Would the lions even be able to survive there? Lions have lived in far drier areas. Like they have even lived in deserts. So it's not a big problem for them to survive. So in terms of environment adaptability, I'm giving them a 9 out of 10. They can survive in a vast range of environments, except maybe a few select ones where it's just not the suitable environment, like the tall trees and shrublands that are way too dense for a grassland animal, or maybe the swamps. So definitely majority of the habitats are great, 9 out of 10. Now, lions are apex predators. They are hypercarnivores and they're a cat. So they need to hunt prey animals rather frequently. Lions are particularly active because they live in a pride, so they need way more food on a regular basis. They take down prey on an average 5 to 6 days, which is even more than tigers do, because again, a lot more mouths to feed. However, here we need to check whether there are enough prey animals to sustain such an animal, such a large apex carnivore. First, let's look at the small prey section. So there is white-tailed deer, mule deer, black-tailed deer, obviously the invasive red deer, the Sitka deer, fallow deer, and obviously the bighorn sheep. all of these are very similar in size to the smaller range of lion's prey. Lions really like to hunt oryxes, and oryxes are very similar in size and behavior to all of these. Now, all of these do venture out into the grasslands and deserts of USA from time to time, so definitely lions should not have a problem bringing these down and sustaining themselves. I think particularly the young male coalitions would be targeting these prey animals more often than the prides, because these are not big enough to feed a pride, but definitely to feed a small coalition of young bachelor males. Secondly, let's look at the medium-sized prey, animals that are at least large enough to feed a pride for a day or two, maybe a little bit more, maybe 3 or 4 days, depending upon that. So definitely lions have experience hunting kudu and eland. That would be very useful when taking down things like elk. Now, I have excluded moose from this is because lions probably won't hunt moose as often, since moose is more of a woodland creature, so it won't encounter lions as much. However, time to time they do venture out into the grasslands, and that is when lions can definitely hunt them down. Apart from this, one particular prey animal that I didn't include during the discussion about tigers that I think would be the primary target for lions are the horses. Now, there is a sustainable and really large population of wild mustang which roam the prairies, and given the experience and preference that lions have in Africa to hunt the zebras and wildebeest, that would definitely play into hunting the horses. Now, American lions definitely hunted large horses, including the mustangs and some extinct species of horses. So definitely lions will be targeting these things. Not to mention they hunt down giraffes. They won't have a problem hunting down a few horses. Apart from this, they will from time to time also hunt the feral hogs. Now, there is not a direct counterpart of feral hogs in their native habitat, but there's warthogs which are similar enough, so definitely lions would know to target these large invasive beasts and bring down the population to a degree. However, since they don't go out into the open that much, feral hogs are mostly a woodland creature, so I don't see it happening too often, but it would happen time to time for sure. With the medium section over, let's look at the large section. And in the large section, there is really only one animal, that is the bison. Now, given the experience that lions have bringing down Cape buffalo, which is another equally dangerous, be it a bit smaller than bison, bovid, that would definitely allow these lions to hunt down bison quite frequently actually. There's a big overlap between the size of a Cape buffalo and a bison. So definitely the lions, specifically in a pride, would be targeting these bisons, especially since the bisons, the steppe bisons at least, live in large herds into the open plains. The lions would definitely target these as a pride because one bison can feed a pride for quite some time. And for the arguments about the bison being bigger, meaning that lions will never hunt them, lions have hunted way bigger and dangerous things like rhinos and hippos. So in a pride, they can definitely target bison, and I think more often than not, the prides would target the bison because one, they're quite numerous, two, they're quite visible out in the open, and three, they would sustain a pride for quite some time. So definitely in the large prey category, lions would also do remarkably well. Now let's look at some more unusual prey that lions might not hunt that often, but from extremely rare cases they would be hunting those, which include the muskox. Now muskox live in very cold northern parts, so lions probably won't encounter them as much. However, lions have been observed in zoos to survive in the cold. They don't seem to have too much of a problem in the cold. Now, granted, in the zoo, it's more controlled. They're given regular food. They don't have to deal with starvation as often. But over the course of many, many years and generations, lions can definitely venture further north, where they can hunt things like caribou, muskox, and the mountain goats as well. Also, on rare occasions, they would be hunting pronghorns. Now, pronghorns are really fast, so probably not as often as other prey animals. They're way too fast for lions to catch up to. Also, on occasions, the large beavers will be targeted, and sea lions. Now, seals and sea lions, this one is a sea lion by the way, are already in the prey list of some lions, specifically the ones that live in the desert. They often go to the beaches and hunt like sea lions, not sea lions, seals. So definitely I can see a pride of desperate lions can take on a sea lion or two from time to time. But these are the more rare prey options than the common or average prey options, you could say. With all of that out of the way, I think lions get a 10 out of 10 in prey availability. There is prey in all three categories of like sizes for lions, and there isn't a single prey animal in USA that a lion pride can't successfully bring down. So definitely they will get a 10 out of 10, which is weird because they don't get a 10 out of 10 in Africa itself. There are animals that they do struggle against, for example, hippos, elephants, and rhinos. But because the largest animal here is a bison that a pride can reliably bring down quite frequently, it's a 10 out of 10. Now, finally, let's look at the most interesting, for the AVA community at least, the threats and competitions. Now, Northern America, specifically USA, has no shortage of other predators. We need to look into how that would interact with the lions. Let's look at wolves first, the current apex predator of the plains. They are large canids or dog-like creatures which hunt in a pack. Surprisingly, lions have experience dealing with both canids that hunt in packs and large dog-like, at least looks like a dog, animals that hunt into the open plains of Africa, which are hyenas. That experience would absolutely help the lions survive in an environment where wolves are. Now, granted, in a 1v1, a hyena, a painted dog, or a wolf stands no chance against a lion. But a pack against a pride, it's a more interesting fight, depending upon the size. Now, definitely a large pack of wolves, like maybe 40 or 30 wolves, can definitely chase off a few lions, specifically if they're by themselves. But if it is a whole pride of lions, wolves probably won't be able to deal much damage to their morale to make them chase away. Granted, wolves have encounters with large predators like the grizzly bears, but again, grizzly bears are usually solitary, so while a bunch of wolves can bully a grizzly bear away by biting it from multiple directions, that would be a lot more difficult against something like a lion pride. Firstly, because there are more members. Secondly, even an individual lion is way more equipped to deal with these sort of threats because they have a powerful roar, they're way more flexible, so they can fend off attacks from multiple directions, and they also have greater agility. So wolf packs would definitely need to be very careful when approaching a pride of lions. Now, granted, young male lions which are living by themselves or living in small coalitions can definitely be chased off by a large wolf pack, so they will probably have to be wary of that. Next, let's look at the most iconic matchup, which is the lion versus bear. Now, in a 1v1, I favor the lion over the bear. I think more often than not, the lion would be defeating a bear. But in a pride, lions would absolutely demolish a bear. A lion pride will have no problem taking down a singular bear. And we do see this sort of interaction back in the Pleistocene, where the American lions had to deal with short-faced bears, and in Europe, which is somewhat similar to America in terms of wildlife, also had the cave lions, which had to deal with cave bears from time to time. Now, usually the bears would definitely try to steal kills from lions, but against a whole pride, that probably will be a death sentence for the bears. Now, the modern bears, the grizzly bears and black bears, do have experience dealing with some cats, like the pumas, but that is a far cry from what the lions are. Lions are way bigger than mountain lions, and they can definitely pose serious threats to a grizzly bear. As individuals, definitely, but even more so as a pride. So I think any grizzly bear that knows any better would steer clear of a lion pride's path, unless they have some other incentives there. Now, definitely both of these predators would be occasionally hunting the cubs of each other, just like any other predator would, but conflict between adults would be rather rare, just like the wolf pack. I think with the wolf pack, what would happen is it will introduce a niche stratification where they would start hunting different prey animals so that they don't compete with each other, where wolves will specifically target smaller prey animals like the deers and elks, whereas lions will focus more on the larger side of the prey animals, which is like horses and bison. So that would allow them to coexist without too much conflict. And I think the similar situation can be seen in bears, where instead of fighting the lions in a frontal all-out battle, I think bears would be wary of lions, and more specifically lion prides, and steer clear of them, avoiding conflict. But on occasion, definitely we can see some bears scavenging from lion carcasses. Like, because lions are so active as predators, they would leave behind plenty of carcasses for both brown bears and black bears to scavenge from once the lions have left. So I think that would be an interesting dynamic between the lions and the bears. Also, we have to talk about the cougars. Now, cougars, I believe, are rather similar to leopards in this case, at least ecologically. From time to time, they will be hunting the cubs of lions. Given their ability to climb trees, they can easily take one down and climb up a tree. But if they're caught out in the open, that is not looking particularly well for the cougar. So I think the cougars would quickly adapt to the lions and learn to steer clear of the lions in the open, and usually learn to escape lions by climbing trees quickly. Overall, I think threats and competitions for lions go 8 out of 10. Most of the threats they can easily take care of, but some threats obviously will always be there for the babies. So it's an 8 out of 10. Not bad, it's actually really good for a predator specifically. Also, let's just point out how similar the two habitats are and the animals are. Like, look at this. This is a lynx and this is a caracal, both animals that lions usually observe. This is a coyote and this is a jackal, also very similar animals. The lion's experience against Nile crocs would definitely help them fend off some Mississippi alligators. And look at this. Here's a lion grabbing a pangolin. It would be a very equivalent animal to an armadillo, at least ecologically. The peccaries are very similar to warthogs. There is the rock python and there is the Burmese python, the invasive one. So definitely the lions will see a lot of familiar creatures in general. So with all of that out of the way, let's look at the score. So environment adaptability is a 9 out of 10, threats and competition is 8 out of 10, and prey availability is a 10 out of 10. So the average is 9 out of 10, which is really good. Lions will be extremely successful in America. However, one big caveat that I haven't mentioned is the X factor, the hunting. In USA, hunting is legal, and lions are apex predators which have never adapted to being hunted by another predator. Their birth rates and their cub survival rates simply cannot have another predator like human regularly hunting them. And given that a lot of people raise cattle in these open prairies, human wildlife conflict will be inevitable. So if humans start hunting the lions, unfortunately the lions will go extinct rather quickly. However, if the lions are given legal protection with careful intervention from the wildlife department to seal off the lion habitats from the cattle grazing grounds, I think lions can do really, really well. Now, with that out of the way, let's look at how the ecosystem itself will adapt to the lions. So, firstly, currently there are some prey animals like the feral hogs and the wild bison. They don't have any predator that regularly hunts them. With the introduction of lions, definitely they will be hunted quite frequently actually, and their numbers will be kept in check. Specifically, it's needed for the feral hogs. However, for the bison, it's weird because the bison habitats are rather fragmentary. They are very concentrated and overpopulated in some places, and they're completely absent from other places. The places where they are overpopulated, the lions can definitely introduce balance to their populations by controlling the numbers. Next up, because lions are so active as predators, they will leave behind a trail of carcasses. There will be so many carcasses left behind, which will feed all manners of creatures, starting from vultures, or no, sorry, condors, coyotes, foxes, and the dedicated scavengers like wolverines, bears, both black and brown bears, maybe polar bears if they do venture out in the north. And at the same time, it will be providing all of these scavengers and predators, obviously like wolves and stuff will also scavenge from there, mountain lions will scavenge from there. They will have so much food that it will improve their health, allowing these animals to migrate greater distances. For example, we see a similar effect in the Yellowstone National Park after the introduction of wolves, because wolf carcasses provided so much protein to bears that they were now traveling more. And because bears are a seed disperser and they take away seeds from berry bushes far and wide, causing the berry population or berry bush population to increase quite a bit. So definitely that will be another extremely positive impact on the overall ecosystem. But I think the greatest impact on the ecosystem will be the forest or grassland regrowth. So because lions are such a dominant force in the ecosystem, they are usually a keystone species, they will definitely force the herbivore populations to be on the move. They would move a lot and not overgraze in a particular area, causing the health of the overall grasslands to improve quite a bit. Obviously this will increase the seed dispersal, but also it will prevent overgrazing. Now in areas where there are a lot of bison, we see this problem with overgrazing, where bisons overgraze an area because nothing is chasing them. With the introduction of a new predator, bisons will definitely now be chased. They will be more spread out, which will obviously help with the genetic diversity and with the help of the grass diversity, because not one area will be overgrazed. And obviously it will also act as an ecological proxy for the extinct cats such as Smilodon fetalis, Xenosmilus, and the American lion, restoring ecological functions that were lost to the time with the extinction of these animals. Well, there you have it, lions in USA. Let me know what you guys think of this video, and definitely like, share, actually subscribe and comment down in the comments. Let me know if there are any more speculative ideas that you have, because I love making these speculative videos. And as always,